The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. Mark Raymakers here with Insurance Agency Marketing Services. Thank you so much for taking time to join us here for a special webinar with National Guardian Life and our co-host, John Enting. John is a presenter who has done this with us for several years now. He's actually out in the field. He's a top producer with National Guardian Life, so who better than to have a specialist such as him to come in and help us out. John, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Good morning, Mark, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So today we're going to record this webinar. Once we're done, we'll get this out to you here so that you have a chance to review as often as you like. But I think it's so important to be here live. That way you can ask any questions as they come up. And so the other thing, too, is once the webinar is over, either myself or one of my staff members will be giving you a call to see if you have any questions, see what we can do to help you to introduce this and incorporate this into your portfolio, offering that to your senior clients. So let's go ahead, let's jump right into it this morning. What we're going to do is we got a few intro slides we're going to go through telling you what we can and will do for you. And one of the things that we do right off the bat here is our referred producer program. This is a great way to grow our business, just like you appreciate referrals in yours. But what we do is we will reward you monetarily. And so when you refer an agent over to us, what we'll do is we will send you a check for $50 once they've contracted with us. Now, every time they write a piece of business, what we're going to do is we're going to keep track of that. And at the end of the quarter, we will send you a check for the business that they write. Now, this does not reduce their compensation or yours. This is just basically saying thank you for the referral to the tune of 20 basis points per thousand. So you'll see if you were to refer 3 agents that write $1 million in a year, that's $6,000 in cash to you. And we do have agents that and advisors that are receiving well over $10,000 a year. Some are up to $20,000 a year in the referral program. So as long as they're writing business with us, you'll continue to receive a check. Now, what we do for those agents that are brand new to us, I do see some new names here. Again, welcome to those of you who are joining, hopping on here a little bit late. This is our new producer bonus. And what we do here is once you contract and you write anything with us, we're going to talk about the first level, 100,000 level. We're going to apply this to the trust product we're going to talk about here this morning. So let's say you write $100,000 in trust premium, or it equates to $100,000 single premium or $100,000 annuity, and then a fraction of that for traditional life. But for today, we're talking trust premium. $100,000, you write that. We're going to send you a check for $750, of course, in addition to your commission. Or you have an option to choose the website service. So what we can do is our creative team can get a website up and running for you in one business day. You can either earn it or you can buy in it, or you can get the free iPad. So once you redeem at the 100,000 level, then you forego the other 2 levels, which would be the 300,000 level. You could choose Social Security program and 3,000 piece mailing. This is a great way to get in front of more seniors. There are quite a few advisors that are taking advantage of the Social Security program. This is where you're doing seminars. You have to learn about the program. So you can get that free by writing $300,000 in trust premium. Or, of course, you could buy into it if you like. You can call and ask for anyone in the annuity department. They can help you with that. Or then there's the $1,500 Visa gift card. You can do as you choose there. Lastly, there's the 500,000 level. And again, for those of you joining a little bit late here, this is our new producer bonus. That's $500,000 in trust, or $500,000 annuity premium, or $500,000 in single premium life. At this level, you can choose either the 5,000 piece mailing seminar coaching with Matt Gill, or 4,000 piece mailing seminar coaching with Dave Pimper. Both of these agents, advisors, do a tremendous amount of business with us through seminar selling. So they are experts in that area. You can earn that, or of course you could buy it. Just call and ask for anyone in marketing. We can get you in touch with those 2 gentlemen. Or lastly, there is the Ritz-Carlton Travel Rewards package. You can make your own personal getaway. Our back office support really is second to none. I know there's a lot of IMOs out there that talk about the service that they provide, but really, truly, as an advisor myself, when I was in the field, I did not have the tremendous service that IMS provides. And so we do everything as far as business building tools and resources. I'm going to go through something here in a minute to show what we can do for you. We also do the case design for you. So the nice thing is that you are working with a marketing staff that's been in the field. We work with top advisors, so we're constantly learning, doing everything we can to provide you out-of-the-box thinking for case design. We also provide you all the forms that you need, so whenever you're going out to the field, you'll have everything in your inbox via email or overnight or by hard copy. we really help you from submission to commission. Our goal is to get the case paid as applied for you. Obviously, we don't get paid until you do, so it's important to us that we give you top shelf service to make sure that your business does get placed and paid. I mentioned the life annuity quotes. We do that for you through Case Design as well. And as I mentioned already, our staff has been in the field, so we understand the unique challenges that you do have. One thing we'd like to do is make it easy with the contracting as well. So when you go onto our website, which is www.imsinc.com, or call anyone in marketing, we'll email you out a contract. You can complete it one time. Anytime you want to add a new carrier, you can just let us know via email or phone call, and we can add new carriers without you having to fill out new paperwork. So we make it easy there. Okay, I mentioned our creative department just real quick. We do everything, or they do everything. I'm not going to take credit for their great work, but everything from A to Z. If you're looking at some turnkey solutions, they're going to put together different handouts, flyers, newsletters, postcards. They're going to help brand you, and I think that's really important. I'm sure John would echo this, but I think it's nice that you have a brand out there, that everything you send out to your clients, every advertisement that you do, people start to recognize that. That's true, excellent marketing there. And so we can help you design that, whether it's something you want created, or maybe it's one of the pieces that we already have in our library that can be personalized. Again, kind of goes down to the agency solutions. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, but as far as the branding, the logo design, put it on everything that you use to market yourself. They can help that. And I've seen some of the stuff they do, and they are really good. Digital solutions, maybe you're looking at doing some things through social media. You name it, we can do that, help you with drip emails, whether you're going to be doing that electronically or doing the old-fashioned hard copy, however you want to do it. They will help you. So if you want help, you can call and ask for anyone in the creative team, and they can show you some of the great stuff that they do. I mentioned our website. I encourage you to go out and visit that. Everything that you could possibly need to write business is out there. So you can call our office from 7:30 till 5:30. Now, I generally stay later than that, but the point is that if you call us, during those hours, we're going to be here to help you. Maybe you're going to be working late, maybe you're working the weekend, or maybe you don't want to make a call, you want to get everything real simple online. That's what our website's designed to do, to keep you producing any time of the day, 24/7. So it's all out there. Just take a minute, go out there maybe this weekend and visit the website, and let us know if there's something else that we can do to add to the website to make it more friendly. If you have any questions, what it would be. All right, real quick, I got a few polls here I'm going to put out. This first one here is our IMS Wealth Management team. So in response to the Department of Labor, we have decided to be DOL ready. Now, we know the can's been kicked down the road a little bit here, but nonetheless, there have been some things that have taken place that has caused us to go full force and create IMS Wealth Management. So if you're interested in speaking with someone in the IMS Wealth team, just mark yes. So here's some things that I would encourage you to consider as far as moving forward with taking advantage of the IMS Wealth Management team there. Obviously, by offering this other part of the business, so managing money, whatever it would be, stocks, bonds, whatever, this is a great way for you to increase your revenue. So your clients are not looking elsewhere. Maybe you're selling annuities today, but they maybe want a higher return. This is a way for you to capture that client. It obviously helps with retention. The more lines of business that your clients put with you, the more likely they are to stay with you. It really strengthens the relationships. Now, maybe you're interested in going and taking the series exam. You know that it's a pretty high hill to climb. There's expenses involved. There's a lot of time involved. Our IMS Wealth team will help you with that. We'll help cover the cost of that exam. So again, if you're interested in that, let me know. Just mark yes. I'll have them call you. They'll discuss that with you. Maybe have questions about DOL. They'll help you with that. Maybe you want to refer somebody over to move their funds over, but you don't want to go ahead and take the exam. We can help you with that as well. So there's a lot of things that you might have in your mind as it pertains to that. I know John went out and got his series exam. He's able to offer that in addition to everything else that he does. So bottom line, if you want to speak with someone in IMS Wealth, just mark yes. I'll have them give you a call here after the webinar this morning. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this poll, and we're going to move on here. Okay, so something else that we do is we do a lot of training. So you'll probably notice we send out a lot of emails. We do a lot of webinars. We've got a webinar scheduled pretty much Monday through Friday, every day of the week. And so what we have is it's a 3-day training event. In fact, actually, John is there. He presents. So if you like what you see here this morning and you want to know more, you want to actually sit down in a classroom setting and learn more about the product and maybe ask some personal one-on-one questions with John. He can help you with that. But here's what we do. We bring advisors in from across the country. We have a lot of different speakers here at this event. We fly you in. So IMS pays for your airfare, your meals, and your lodging, and it's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday event. So you go out on Wednesday. We do presentations Wednesday evening with a meal. We do a full day of training on Thursday. We do a half a day training on Friday. Then we send you back home. So basically what we do is we pay for your everything. All the expenses are covered on this. And we have 3 of these a year. Our first one is already scheduled for March. So if you're interested in attending the March one, I encourage you to do that. Get a lot of great information to take through the year with you. Then we'll have 2 more events. And the one that's coming up in March, I believe it's the last week of March. Again, that is all expense paid. It is in Des Moines, Iowa. So this is what it's really about. It's not a product training where you come in, you learn about products. What you're doing is you're coming in to learn about how to increase your annuity business, how to increase your life business, or maybe complement what you're doing. Maybe you're doing life insurance now and you want to add annuities or vice versa. This is a great way for you to grow your business. And I tell you, we've been doing these. I've been with the company going on 9 years now, and we have been doing these every year since I've been here. And one thing that I heard as a common denominator is I've never heard anybody say this was not the best or one of the best training events they've ever been to. So I'm looking for a better response here. Only got 41% of you have even expressed a yes or a no. If you're not getting free training today from whoever you're doing business with, whether it's with us or not, if you're not taking advantage of growing in your education, learning about products, you're missing the boat. The best investment you really can make is in yourself. And so all I'm asking you is if you're interested, you mark yes. We'll keep you posted. We'll send you out an application. We'll send you agenda. We'll let you know when our next events are scheduled after the March event. You can generally expect that they'll be probably in the May, maybe August, maybe September timeframe. So by marking yes, we'll just communicate with you what's happening, the agenda, and an application. So okay, we're kind of froze here, so I'm going to move forward. If you want to know more about the event, if you're interested in attending, all you have to do is call our office. Okay, let's move on. John, I know your time is very valuable. So one thing, we have what we call our IMS Marketing Summit. Now this event, as far as it being scheduled, is the 25th through the 28th, so it's next month. What we do is we generally look at production, or we look at, I should say, our advisors. It's by invitation. Now we've changed things a little bit, but we had a certain requirement of production during a certain time frame. But now being DOL compliant, we do it based on invitation, so you can kind of read between the lines. This is for producer and guest, and this year we're doing the Boulders Resort and Spa right there in Scottsdale, Arizona. But we do have a trip. So for those of you that are interested, that you'd like to travel, you'd like to be rewarded for your efforts, this is something we do every year. So you can anticipate an announcement coming up here this quarter as far as where our next event's going to be. I'd love to have you there. So just know that we do reward you for your efforts, and we do look forward to spending some time with you, celebrating your success. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to John. John, again, thank you so much. I know that you're in the field. You're taking time out of your appointment schedule to help us out here today. And for those of you that have joined in, real quick, this is a recorded webinar. Ask any questions you want. You can put them in the question box. John will address them. But again, John is our top, he's one of our top 5 annuity producers, one of our top 5 life producers. So John is really a master in the field of advising, and he brought this product to us probably 5 years ago, and we continue to see this is one of our #1 selling products. It's continuing to grow every single year. So John, again, thanks for taking time out of the field. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, thanks, Mark, and good morning, everybody. And obviously, not only am I taking time out of the field, but I see there's a lot of people on here with us that are doing so as well. So today we're going to talk about the National Guardian Life Funeral Trust funding. And what we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about the opportunity that exists with this product. I'll talk to you a little bit about the trusts themselves that we use to hold the asset, the product we use to fund that trust. I'll give you a couple presentation ideas and tools you can take with you today. And then we'll talk about National Guardian Life itself. Great company. I'll get into that a little bit more as we go through the presentation. So the opportunity is really big. This product was brought to me about 14 years ago by a mentor of mine that I had worked with for quite a while, and I didn't know anything about it, but he had explained it and said you need to learn about it and start implementing it into your business. So that's what I did. Just to let everybody know, I do run my own practice here in Columbus, Ohio. So I'm in the field every day. I'm doing seminars. I'm meeting with clients, and we took this product and we used it as part of our presentation and meeting with our clients, and we've had a lot of success, and being able to share that with agents across the country and seeing the production that comes in from them and knowing the value that it brings to their agencies and to their clients makes us feel good as well. So today we'll share that with you, what that opportunity looks like. This slide here, we all know we're in the planning business. We have to plan in order to get things done. So when we're doing that, we have to consider our options. We got to plan for those options, and then obviously we've got to find the money to be able to complete that. So funeral and final expenses aren't any different. Someone's going to need to determine your services and pay your bills when you pass away. And the real question becomes who's going to do it and when. So there's two options there. You can either have the deceased get their affairs in order and get everything done prior to death, or I'm going to share with you a personal experience of mine that you can leave it to the survivors afterwards. So just a little backstory on me. I'm the youngest of 5 children. I've always been the entrepreneur in the family. If there's something in the family that goes wrong, typically my phone rings and they're seeking my advice on it. So back on January 21st of 2011, I lost my dad. He passed away. And I wasn't super close with my dad. My mom and dad divorced when I was 2 years old. I saw my dad, but we didn't talk about things like planning for his funeral. And so what happened is I found myself sitting in a funeral director's office, and the funeral director was asking me a lot of questions like, what was my dad's mother's maiden name? What was his favorite flower, his favorite hymn? You know, I didn't know the answer to any of these questions, and my dad hadn't done any planning prior to his death. And so what I realized quickly is that all this work that we had been doing for our clients using this product and all the years that we've been using it had a true value to those families, because if my dad had done what I'm about to share with you, my experience would have been a lot different and a lot smoother in taking care of my dad's final wishes. So there's 2 ways to take care of a funeral. Number one is you can plan and pay for the funeral, so you can go to a funeral home while you're alive. You can do a plan with that funeral director, or if you don't want to go through that, you can plan for the anticipated expenses. In other words, you can set some money aside, you can have a written out document, and you can have everything taken care of so that when you do pass away, it makes it an easy transition for your spouse or for your children. So we always ask our clients, you know, how much they think a funeral cost, and we hear a lot of different answers. Usually they're low. But one of the things I will tell you is I've been writing this program for so long that I usually get 1 or 2 phone calls a month from clients who have lost somebody that has a funeral trust with us. And so what I always do is I always ask them what the cost of.
John, we're losing you. John, can you hear me? John, we lost you. Okay, folks, if you want to hang on for a second here, John, we lost you. If you want to maybe dial back in, somehow or another we lost the audio here. If you all want to just hang on for 1 sec. But yeah, John, I don't see that you're muted, so maybe there's an issue on your end there. If you can hear me, John, go ahead and maybe dial back in if you can. Yeah, I don't see there's can you hear me, folks? I don't know if someone could just type in yes that you can hear me. John? John, I can hear you in and out. Folks, if you, there we go. Okay, Danny can hear
Mark,
me.
can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Okay, we're good. You're cutting in and out.
Okay, I don't know what that was, and sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what that would be, but let me try something here for us, Mark.
Yeah, we can hear you fine now.
Okay, how about now? We good?
Yep, you're good. Yep.
Okay, I apologize for that. I don't know what went wrong there, but we ask our clients what they think the typical funeral would cost, and if it's not a traditional funeral, maybe it's a cremation, that cost could be a lot lower, but typically that $12,000 to $15,000 range is what we're hearing. So what is the opportunity for you?
John, I don't know why you keep cutting out, but we lost you again. I don't know if it's it doesn't look like it's on our end over here because I see that there's still a connection, so I don't know what's happening, but we're losing your audio for some reason or another.
In a national survey, 72% of the people thought it was a great gift. Well, Mark, can you hear me? Well, I don't know what the issue would be.
You're cutting in and out. I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, and I don't know why we would be cutting in and out.
I know, but you're good.
So if we're good to go, if we start cutting out, you may have to just take it over.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So as long as you can hear me now, 64% hadn't taken any steps to do the pre-planning. And we believe the reason for that is that most people don't wake up in the morning and look at their spouse and say, hey, you know what, let's go down to the funeral home and pick out a casket. So typically your clients aren't going to be any different than my clients. And this market's huge. As we all know, it's going to continue to expand. And by 2025, there's going to be almost twice as many seniors as there is today. So if you're in the senior marketplace, you're not going to have any type of a shortage of people to talk to. So when we talk with our clients, we always like to have this conversation and point out to them that 65% of all Americans older than 65 are going to need some type of nursing care. And when that national cost average is $68,000 to $78,000 per year, many people who are going to need this type of care don't have it in place. I think it's 93% of all Americans have no type of long-term care protection. So many people who are going to need that are going to have to qualify for Medicaid. So they're going to have to spend their assets down in order to be able to get their care paid for in a nursing home. And this is a good conversation to start with your client because it's going to lead to the protection of money and lead you right into the trust. So this is how it all fits together. We're taking the final financial protection of life insurance with the advantages of an irrevocable trust. We're going to encourage the client to set aside some money that they'll need for their final expenses at some point down the road. And then when we use the trust to hold those funds, we're effectively spending that asset down, or we're getting it out of the estate or protecting it for them so that if they do need to qualify for Medicaid, it won't be a countable asset against them. So we'll talk about first the trusts themselves. They have a lot of great provisions for your clients. They'll give their dollars protection from creditors. The benefits are going to be income tax free. The funds will be available immediately. The trusts are free. So this trust is already written by National Guardian Life. To give you an example on that, if you wanted to protect money in an irrevocable trust, I work with an elder law attorney that's right next to me in another office, and he charges about $7,000 to do that kind of work for his clients. Again, he does a little bit more entailed work, but this is a way to show your clients how to protect some money and have the trust not cost them anything. Everybody's going to qualify for the trust assignment. We're going to use the death proceeds to pay for the funeral expenses. We won't have any probate cost or delays. And the important thing here is these funds are totally portable. And what I mean by that is if you go prepay for your funeral today in your local town, and if you're like many of my clients, your kids take a job in Florida and they move to Florida with the grandkids and you want to be closer to them, well, your funeral planning you did with your local funeral home may not have been the best option. With this plan, this can be used at any funeral home anywhere in the United States. So the funds are totally portable. You're not locking into a particular funeral home, so you can use it anywhere. So this next slide, I'm just going to let you take a look at it. This is how the irrevocable funeral trust compares to traditional savings instruments. And as you see there, if you look across the bottom, we're getting a yes in every column that's important to protecting money. So that's a good thing. And I'll just give you a second to take a look at that. So how the trust itself works is what we do is we help the client find the dollars to put aside to do the pre-planning. Once we do that, we actually buy a life insurance policy with National Guardian Life. Now, it's not a traditional single premium life. We're not putting in $15,000 and getting a $25,000 death benefit and then having access to the cash in there. Typically what will happen is if it's a $15,000 deposit, they may start out with $15,500 of tax-free death benefit. But the reason for that is we're not worried about the cash growing or being accessible. We're trying to protect it. So once we get that policy issued, 45 days after issue, it's going to be assigned to the irrevocable funeral trust. Now I'm going to say something here. It's irrevocable. If you do this plan with your clients, you need to tell them this is irrevocable. The money does not come out of here until you pass away. The reason I say that is I'm very adamant on that with my clients. I've been doing this for over 14 years. I have never had a client call me and ask me to cash it in, take a loan, take a withdrawal. They know that these dollars are set aside to take care of their final expenses. Now, once that program's in place, when a client passes away, the typical protocol would be that client would call our office. They would tell us the name of the funeral home. We will reach out to the funeral home to get a fax number, and then we will call National Guardian Life, give them the client's contract number and the fax number for the funeral home. And at that point, we're out of the loop. They deal directly with the funeral home, and that funeral provider is paid within 48 hours of receiving the money. So just a quick story on that. We had a client who passed away. The money they had to take care of the funeral was a couple $100 shy of what the actual funeral cost was. But the funeral provider told our client that the process was so easy and that they had gotten their money so quickly that they were going to waive that $200. So it's a good experience for everybody involved. If, let's say, you put $15,000 in and the client's funeral was only $14,000, the excess funds have to be paid to the estate. And the reason for that is when we put it into that irrevocable trust, we gave up ownership because we didn't ever wanted it to have to be spent at a nursing home. So in order to make that happen, any excess funds have to be paid back to the estate. So there's two types of trusts with National Guardian Life. You have the funeral expense trust. I'm going to talk about Ohio for a moment, and then we'll show you a slide. I see there's a lot of people on the webinar. It'll show you every state and what the maximum is you can put into the funeral expense trust. But here in Ohio, we can put $15,000 in. So what that does is if I'm sitting with a client, we will have them put $15,000 into the funeral trust, and that gives them the ability to exclude that asset immediately from a Medicaid spend down situation. But what will happen is that trust will pay funeral costs with any excess funds going to the estate of the insured, just like I explained to you on that slide before. Now they do have a second trust that will hold $100,000, and that one has the ability to exclude assets in order to qualify for Medicaid or protect it from a nursing home, but that's going to have a 5-year look back period. Again, if you only had the estate planning trust, they're going to use the first part of those funds to pay for funeral expenses, and then any excess funds are returned to a designated beneficiary of the insured's estate instead of the insured's estate. So typically, the question I get from agents I work with is, when do I use which trust? So on our next slide here, I'm going to explain to you the difference between the two and how we position that in our practice. So with the funeral expense trust, it's great for crisis planning. If the elder law attorney comes over to me and says, hey, we've got a client in our office, the dad's in the nursing home, they're spending money like crazy, we're trying to get them qualified for Medicaid, can you open 2 accounts for us and put $30,000 in, 15 for the at-home spouse, 15 for the nursing home spouse? We can do that. Maybe you have a client where they're spending money right now and they're doing okay paying their way, but when you look out within 5 years, it's very possible they're going to be out of money and they're going to have to go on to Medicaid. Very good opportunity to protect those dollars for them. Or sometimes I'll have clients who come to one of our seminars, they'll come in, they'll meet with me, we'll do a plan for them, an overall financial plan, and they'll just say to me, hey, you know what, I just want to know my funeral expenses are taken care of, and I want to know that money's protected now. And so that's a great opportunity for the funeral expense trust as well. Now with the estate planning trust, maybe Medicaid is a non-issue. I have a couple of teachers, I like to use this story, who make a lot of money. They've already told me they're never buying long-term care insurance, but they wanted to make sure that even if everything came down to it and they lost every dollar they had to a nursing home, that they could protect $100,000 each for each one of their children. So what we did is we did the estate planning trust. We funded it with $100,000 for each spouse. We're about, I just met with them, we're almost 4 years through the process. But after 5 years, that money's protected forever. It's growing, it's earning interest in there. It's all going to pay out 100% tax-free. So they just wanted to easily transfer a limited amount of wealth to their children. But this is also a good conversation if you're dealing with people who maybe have a favorite charity, and you can explain to them that it's very noble to list in your will or your trust that you want to give money to a charity, but if you've lost it all to a nursing home, then that's not going to happen. So let's set those funds aside now and make sure that they go to your charity for you, because we can name a beneficiary on that estate planning trust. And that's where the real opportunity comes in. You can pick up some nice ticket cases and do a really good thing for your client in the process. So the product itself that we use is called the NGL Asset Guard. And so with NGL, it's a fixed rate product. that is going to be purchased. I'm going to talk about today about purchasing it on a single premium option, because that's what we do here at Inting Financial Services. It's going to give them a guaranteed growth rate on the money, and then it's going to give them that financial protection option. So we have a lot of people on here from different states. I'm going to show you what the state limits are, and then I'm also going to give you an idea that if you're in one of the states where you can't offer the funeral trust, or the amount is low, where you can still pick these cases up. So if you look at Ohio, which is where I'm at, I'm living in a really good world over here. We can put $15,000 in the funeral trust. We can, between the two trusts, we can have a maximum of $100,000. So if I did a $15,000 for a client in a funeral trust and they wanted to do an estate trust, we could only do $85,000 into that. So it's a combination of $100,000 maximum between the two. But let's say, for an example, that you're in Omaha, Nebraska, where IMES is located, and you can only do $4,916 into a funeral trust. Well, I would, if I were living there, I would do that for the client. I would do the funeral trust because I know that money is protected immediately. But then I would also set up an estate planning trust, and let's say put another $10,000 in there if we were using it for the funeral, because yes, it's going to be 5 years before that money is totally excluded, but it is going to be excluded at some point. So let's say you're in Florida. I have a buddy of mine that lives down there that ran into this problem. They can't even do the funeral trust. So what I told him is, people still need to do their funeral planning, so use the estate planning trust. You can put up to $100,000. If they want to put $15,000 away for a funeral, go ahead and do it. Put it in the estate planning trust. Just explain to them that they have a 5-year look back on that account in Florida. So you can still get the job done. You can still pick up a lot of dollars. You may have to be creative if you're in a state that doesn't allow you the $15,000 like we have here in Ohio. Mark, you can skip the next slide. And we can go here. Here's all the expenses that are paid for when you do a irrevocable funeral trust. Basically anything that's going to be associated with a funeral, all the way down to the transfer of the deceased. If you have a client, if I had a client lives here in Ohio, they're on vacation in Florida, the spouse passes away, we can use these funds to transfer them back here to Ohio if that's where they're going to be buried. So today, because in my practice we just use the single pay, that's what we're going to concentrate. We can write a minimum of $500 face amount up to $100,000, and we can give them a growth rate. Now, as the agent, you get to pick that growth rate for your client. Here at Inting Financial Services, we give every one of our clients 2%. We never deviate from that. There's a reason for that. I don't care what rate you give your client in your practice, but try to be consistent. If you're going to do a 1% growth rate, that's fine, but give that to every client, so that if anyone ever says, hey, you know, why are you giving one client a higher rate and another one a lower rate, you don't have to try to explain yourself. You can say, no, we give all of our clients the same growth rate. There's only one health question, so everybody's going to qualify for the program. You're never spinning your wheels hoping that you're maybe going to get someone approved. You know, when you go in, you're going to get them approved no matter what. So you can get it issued from 0 to 99. So basically anybody out there that's 0 to 99, you can do a plan on. I want to touch on this. I usually don't touch on this, but if you have older clients who have grandchildren, what a great thing to bring up with your older clients and say, hey, you know what, if you just put $5,000 or $10,000 away today in one of these plans for your grandchild, by the time your grandchild gets through their lifetime, that is going to have a lot of money in there to take care of their final expenses, and you can also get that money out of your estate at the same time. So keep that in mind when you're talking with your clients. They can do it on their children, their grandchildren as well. So there's only one health question. If they answer it no, they're going to get a standard issue. If they answer it yes, they're going to get a guaranteed issue. What's going to make a difference is going to be in the commission rate that you earn. Obviously, if they're guaranteed issue, it's going to be a lower commission. If they're not, it'll be a higher commission. It increases daily with simple growth. So if we give our clients 2% interest, we know every day that that money is being credited to the account on a simple growth formula, and it's immediate full death benefit at death. So if the client passes away, you know that all of that money is going to be there for them to take care of their funeral. And it couldn't be easier to do. It's basically 2 pieces of paper and you're done. I like to tell the story that when I wrote my very first annuity back in 1993, I was in a dry cleaner in Marion, Ohio. It was a $25,000 annuity, and it was 3 pieces of paper to get it done, and one of those pieces of paper was the receipt that I left behind with them. Heck, I couldn't even believe they were letting me walk out of their business with a $25,000 check. But the paperwork was so simple. If you're in the annuity business today, you know that can be 30, 35 pages. The same thing with a traditional life application. With this one, it's 2 pieces of paper, your state replacement disclosure, and you're done. That's all you need, and you're ready to submit to the company. So here's what the application looks like. This is the top part of it. As you can see, it's just basic, simple information. In the middle there, you're going to have the health question. And again, that health question is going to be a yes or no question. So very simple to do. The next slide is going to show you what the bottom of that looks like. You're just going to have this client sign. You're going to sign off as the agent, put your agent number on there, and you've basically got the application part done. Then the second page, this here is going to be the receipt for the client if you've picked up cash. So you'll just fill that out and leave it with them. And then the next one is going to be the actual disclosure. We're only showing you the funeral expense trust disclosure. Obviously, if you're doing the estate planning disclosure, it'll be just titled differently, but it'll read pretty much the same. So this is what that looks like. You're just going to have them sign off. They understand they're doing an irrevocable contract. And then if you have a client, I told you that after it's issued, 45 days later, it goes into the trust. But if you have a client who's trying to qualify for Medicaid, maybe a spouse is in a nursing home, they're spending money like crazy, we can sign down here and have them waive the 45-day window and get that policy put in at issue so that it's not counted against them and they don't have to spend it down at the nursing home. So when we're presenting it to clients, that's a big deal because, you know, with anything, you need to know what you're talking about. So obviously you want to become familiar with the product, spending a little time learning it. It's very simple to learn and implement. But the thing I would tell new agents when they contract with National Guardian Life is start off with your current clients. You know, these are people who know you and trust you. I always say that if it were me and I was going out to see my clients with this program, you know, I would start my discussion that, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you've worked with me for quite a long time. Would you agree that everything that I've told you and done for you has worked out the way that I had told you? Well, they're going to tell you yes. And then you just tell them there's something that we overlooked that we found is very important to our clients, and we're going to get this implemented with you. I want to discuss and show you why it's important. So you're going to stress those benefits of planning ahead. You're going to tell them that it's portable. It can be used with any funeral home, so you're not locked into one place. And then I want to touch on this with you because we do a lot of business with this. The 1035 exchange of existing life insurance. You know, you have a lot of clients out there who are holding these old whole life policies, and if you were to ask them, hey, Mrs. Jones, do you understand when you pass away that you don't get both of these numbers? You don't get the cash value and the death benefit. You only get the higher of the two. The majority of your clients are going to tell you they did not know that. So the next step to that is, well, if you have 10,000 in cash value and your life insurance policy is worth 12,000, you really only have 2,000 of life insurance because the other is your money that they're just paying back to you. So doesn't it make sense to take that cash value that you know you're going to use at your death to pay for your funeral and move it over into the irrevocable trust and get those dollars protected? Because if you don't, and you go into a nursing home, they are going to make you spend that cash value, and you could end up with no life insurance at all. It's a great story. Always look at those old policies, call the company together with them, find out what the cash value and the face value is. Our rule of thumb here is if the cash value and the face value are within 25% of each other, so if you've got a $20,000 death benefit and you have 15,000 in cash value, that's in that 25% corridor. We feel it's a good thing to protect the 15,000 and know that it's going to be there for the client. So then you got to close the sale. And again, this is where we get paid to do our job. So if you present it correctly, if you point out the benefits, if you explain to them how it protects those dollars from a nursing home, then you're going to give that client the peace of mind of knowing that they've planned ahead, the funds are protected, and that's one thing they don't have to worry about anymore. But where do you find the money to do it? The money is already there. These aren't new dollars we're looking for. You know, one of the questions we'll ask our clients is, have you prepaid your funeral? If they tell us no, we'll say, well, how do you intend to do that? And we'll hear answers like, well, my daughter knows I have a $15,000 CD over at the bank that is designated to take care of my funeral. Well, Mrs. Jones, do you realize if you get sick and go into a nursing home that that money is 100% countable asset and you're going to have to spend it for care? Doesn't it make more sense to put it over here? We're going to get you a higher interest rate in the irrevocable funeral trust, and we're going to protect those dollars to make sure they're there for your daughter when she needs them the most to take care of your funeral. Now, also annuities. If you're in this on this call and you've sold a lot of annuities over the years and you haven't set those annuities up to pay you a trail option, I consider that dead money. That money's in there. I think the survey or the study shows 92% of all people that buy an annuity don't ever take money out of the annuity. It passes on. Why not bring up to them, hey, let's use your penalty-free withdrawal. Let's move it from a countable asset for a nursing home stay and get it over to where it's non-countable and it's protected for your family. So I'm not afraid to say to a client when I'm presenting this to them, hey, you know what, Miss Jones, if you really think about it for a moment, we're really not even buying anything today. All we're doing is repositioning your money from being countable for a nursing home stay to getting it over to the other side where it's non-countable. People, that's a big, big topic with seniors today, is protecting money from the nursing home. So National Guardian Life does a really great job of giving you the tools you need to be successful. The two brochures we use the most are the two that are flanking the Understanding Medicaid. So the one on the right and the one on the left. I'm going to tell you the power of these brochures. I had a client about 10 minutes from my office. They had a couple policies with Nationwide Insurance. They'd had them for a long time, had substantial cash value in them. And had a death benefit, but we were within that corridor of 25%. So I went out and presented it to them. When I was getting ready to leave, they said, well, we need to think about this. And I said, that's fine. I'm going to leave you these two brochures. And I'm a little different. When someone tells me they want to think about it, I'm fine with that. but I'm calling them back the next day and I'm setting a time up with them. So I told them that I would call them at 1 o'clock the next day, and we would come to a decision one way or another. And so the next morning, about 9 o'clock in the morning, my phone rings. It was the client. She said, John, we read through these brochures. They were very easy to understand. We'd like to go ahead and set up an appointment with you to get the money moved. So they're just trifold brochures. They're to the point. They're consumer friendly. You can customize them on the back with your firm's information, but they're great tools to use while you're in the field. So National Guardian Life, like I told you, I've been doing business with them for 14 years at least. I should probably go check that at some point because I've probably been saying 14 years for 3 years now. But great company. It's the only company in my business that I can tell you I've never had one issue with them, from client service to getting claims paid to answering the phone and giving me an answer to a question that's the right answer. They've got this down pat. They're very financially solid, as you can see here by the data that we put on the screen for you. So once you're licensed with National Guardian Life, their agent website, in my opinion, is spectacular. You can calculate the premium. In other words, you can say, okay, if I want to give my client $15,000 of death benefit, what premium do I need to make that happen? You can order the supplies on there. You can run a commission report in the morning if you want to see what was paid. It pulls it up, tells you what was EFT to your account. They've got marketing tools. They've got PowerPoints presentations that you can use either for groups or with your clients if you're using an iPad in the field. So a lot of great tools and information. And that 1-800 number for the agent support, you can be sitting in an appointment with a client and have a question, call them. The team will answer it. They'll get you an answer right away. And in my case, they sometimes make me look smarter than I actually am. So why sell the product? Like I told you, and the data shows us, your clients need it. They're thinking about it. They just need someone to motivate them to get it done, and you can be that person. It's an excellent income opportunity. I'll share with that here in a few minutes. We're going to look at the commissions. The trusts are free, so there's no fees. There's no other financial professionals advising your clients on this. I always ask my clients, has anyone ever talked to you about an irrevocable funeral trust? I've never had a client tell me yes. So I know that if I'm bringing that information to them and I can position it correctly, I'm going to get the sale. The funds are portable. We talked about that with any funeral provider. The reason that's important is funeral homes go out of business. Funeral homes change ownership. Just because you plan with a funeral home today doesn't mean you're going to be happy with that decision down the road. We've got a great company backing the product. Gives your clients that peace of mind. And if you don't like paperwork, you're going to love doing business with National Guardian Life. And the other thing with them is, Mark mentioned submission to commission. If you were to pick up a deal today and send them cash, so you got it into them, they received it on Monday, Tuesday, those commissions are going to be in your account. If you fax in a 1035 exchange deal to them, they are like bulldogs and going after the money. Usually less than 3 weeks, they've got that money over at NGL and you've been paid on it. So really, they've got it down to a science. So I like to use this illustration. Look, we're all in the financial service business. We all did this because we enjoy some time off for ourselves. So I just use this. If you're working 10 months a year, you've got a couple different couples that you can do this plan on, and you only did $10,000 of premium on each one of those people, which I believe is low, but just to kind of illustrate this, that'll add $40,000 to your annual bottom line. When I started doing this, my mentor told me that if I did this the right way, I'd never have to worry about office expenses again. I could just designate this to pay my office expenses. And that's what I've done. My personal production out of my agency every year I never worry about rent for both of my offices or my staff or anything like that. I know this is going to take care of my bottom line on that. So here's the commission grid. If you look in that left top corner, that's what we'll concentrate on. So if you write a premium of 0 to 60,000 and you write that on a 61 to 65-year-old and they're a standard issue, your commission is 13.31%. Even if they're a guaranteed issue, it's 8.2%. I don't know about you, but if you're in the annuity business, the only thing I've seen commissions do is go down. If you go out and you had a couple that said, hey, we want to fully fund this, we want to put 15,000 each in, they both were a standard issue, you know, that's a $4,000 review with your client. So it's a great compensation schedule. And again, I'm showing you this on the growth rate of 2% because that's what we use. But you'll once you're licensed, you'll see your commission schedule, and the commissions are you'll see those accordingly to the rates that you offer your client. So this past year, we'll be updating this. They haven't released their sales conference for next year, but this past year, this is where their conference is to in 2018. I've been on their sales conference. They do a fantastic job. It's first rate. The thing I like about sales conferences is that they're fun and they're great to hang out and have a good time. But if I can give you some advice, always seek out the top producers if you've done enough production with anybody to qualify for a trip. Find out what they're doing. That's how I got to where I'm at. I just found out what the top guys were doing, and I replicated it in my business. So again, just a little side tip for you there, but seek those top guys out. The top guys usually love to talk about everything. They'll be happy to share what they're doing in their business with you. So some of the biggest challenges, getting comfortable with the concept. You know, remember, your clients believe that pre-planning is a good idea. They need someone to motivate them to do it. Learning how to present it. I shared with you, you know, when I wrote my first annuity back in 1993 of $25,000, I thought it was a huge deal. Here we are, we're in 2018. You know, I could teach a class on annuities. It's not because I'm the smartest guy. It's repetition. That's what I've done. And you'll find that with this, the more deals you do, the better you'll get, the more confident you'll be, and the more production you'll have. And keep it on top of your mind. Every client, every day. It's real simple. Have you prepaid your funeral? It's a yes or no question. If they say that, no, we haven't, you've got a great idea to share with them. If they say, yes, we've already taken care of that, my next question to them is, do you have a specific dollar amount that you would like to know is protected from a nursing home and will go to your charity or your family regardless of what happens with your health in the future? And then I start talking about the estate planning trust and getting some assets in there to get it funded. So what we did at our company is, oh gosh, this has probably been 6-7 years ago now. I lost a big deal to the bank. I had a client that had been with us for a long time. The daughter called me. She said, hey, I want to let you know that mom passed away. I said, well, I'm very sorry to hear that. You know, once you guys get through everything with the funeral and the grieving, we need to get together because we have about $500,000 in annuities, and we will help you settle that. And the daughter said to me, hey, we appreciate that, but we've already talked to her guy down at the bank, and he said he'd be more than happy to handle everything for us. Well, I lost $500,000 that went out that I had worked hard for, that I thought we would get to work with again at some point. So we put something in place that has helped us curb that. And it's something I designed. It's called a guide for beneficiaries. And what it does is it helps to those clients to know who to call in the event there's a death in the family. So what we did with it is we took it out. We have a data sheet that we collected all new data from our client. And then what ended up happening for us was your clients don't tell you everything, and they don't tell us everything. So through this process of implementing this beneficiary guide, I want to share with you what our successes were. Over about a 6-month period, we picked up an additional $1.5 million in annuity premium. We picked up about $200,000 in single premium life, and about another $100,000 to $150,000 in National Guardian Life through 1035 exchanges and cash deals. And the only reason that happened was we took this guide out and gave it to our clients, and they were so appreciative. Every one of the clients thanked us for putting this in place with them. So what the guide looks like when you see the front of it is it's going to say on there, a guide for my beneficiaries. For help settling my estate, please call my advisor at Says Inting Financial Services. And every time I see this, even to this date when I'm doing this webinar, the only thing I see when I looked at that is if I'd have had that in place, I wouldn't have lost a $500,000 deal. So I'm telling you, once you're licensed with National Guardian Life, IMS will provide this to you so that you can take it, get your company information in it, tweak it if you want to fit what you want to do. But it's a great tool to call your clients if you haven't had a review in a while and say, hey, I need to meet with you. We've created this beneficiary guide. It's good for you and your family. And then take this out there to them and then do the new data collection form. And they're going to share everything with you at that point, and you'll pick up additional business as you go. So here's what the organizer looks like that we use in there. Again, you can tweak it to whatever you want to do, but we find the way it is works well. So it's going to have all their basic information on there. We're going to ask them information about their children. Then we'll go on to page 2. At this point, more children information. Then we're getting down into asking them their financial information. Remember, they're updating, they're telling us everything here. And then we're going to get to question 8. And question 8 on there says, have you prepaid your funeral? It's a yes or no question. If they tell us no, we're going to say, we're not going to jump in right there. We're definitely going to circle the wagon and come back to that. If they tell us yes, at that point, if they say yes, I'm going to ask them that question. Do you have a specific dollar amount that you would like to see protected from a nursing home that you want to be sure of goes to your church or your charity, regardless of what happens to your health in the future? And then we're going to talk about that with them as well. So all this is already set up. It's in a PDF format. Once you're licensed with National Guardian Life, then IMS will make this available to you. So again, that's what I have for the presentation. I don't know what happened with that audio earlier. I certainly apologize for that. But if you have any questions that I can answer for you, we can sure do that.
Well, thank you, John. So the question box is open if you want to type a question. Then we'll go ahead and ask those of John while we have him here this morning. I do see one from Paul, and Paul asks, what's the story with Pennsylvania, the city by city?
Yeah, that's a great question, Paul, and we have a lot of clients in Pennsylvania, so I can answer that one intelligently. It's by county, and so if you're going to do business over there, it's good to reach out to National Guardian Life and tell them what county you're going to be working in, and see if they can give you that information. Most times they can. If they can't, you can typically Google that, and then you'll be able to get that answer there. But it is a county by county area in Pennsylvania.
Okay. And then Keith asks, how do you assign the interest rate? I don't see it in the paperwork in he's in Michigan.
So on the application, on the very front page, it's going to give you box A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You can offer them anywhere from a 0.25% rate up to 2.25%. So you'll be able to pick that rate and offer that to your client. Again, I just believe if you're going to do it, just be consistent with all your clients. You don't want to have to answer questions one day. I mean, I hope it would never come to that with anyone, but why you're offering different rates, unless you have a particular strategy for that and you have a good reason why you're offering different rates to different clients, then that's another story. But if you see down there where it says plan, complete for a single pay and 1 year pay only, you're going to mark that box, and then when you get your contracting and your commission schedule, it'll correlate with each one of those rates that you can offer.
Okay. And then Doug asks if you would just please real quickly review the benefits of purchasing through us rather than from a funeral home.
Oh, that's a great question. So when you go to a funeral home to prepay your funeral, there's a couple things that you have to deal with. Number one is you might like the owners and the way the funeral homes ran today. Maybe the funeral home gets sold in the future and you don't like it anymore. Maybe the funeral home goes out of business. Or maybe you have a situation that if you Google this in the area where you live, if you just put in there, funeral homes and fraud. I'll give you an example here. I was on a flight back to Columbus and I picked up a USA Today, and this is actually in Pennsylvania. I'm just going to read this to you real quick. It says, in Hummelville, Pennsylvania, a funeral director is charged with stealing nearly $297,000 from people who paid for prearranged funerals. Bucks County authorities say David Faust is accused of forging several death certificates, including that of a woman in 2003, so he could spend more than $8,700 she prepaid. The woman is still alive. So the point is everybody a crook? Absolutely not. I like to think the majority of people are good and honest, but that case you can find in any town, anywhere, where that's happened. So we like to tell our clients, we're putting your money with the insurance company. The money is going to be there when you need it the most. You can still go to that funeral home that you were thinking about going to prepay or pre-plan, but your money's always going to be here, and there's going to be no issues you have to deal with in the future. So that's kind of the take that we take on it. And you'll still get clients who say, that sounds great, I'm going to go pre-plan at the funeral. Guess what? We can't get them all, and we realize that.
Thank you for that. Let's see. And then Maurice says, this is right. Oh, just a comment. Okay. So Maurice says he is a financial planner and he loves the product. So hopefully, Maurice, we're getting a chance to work with you on your NGL business.
Well, Mark, and can I just say one other thing here? And if there's another question, I'll be happy to answer, but I didn't touch on it. So with National Guardian Life, once you're licensed, and I'm going to encourage everybody to do this, they have a planning guide that you can order. It's just a 4-pager. It's done in high gloss. But when you get it, when you go out to use this product, if you will give this planning guide to your client, at the very top it says a letter to my loved ones, and when you open it up, all the things I couldn't answer for my father, what was his mother's maiden name, what was his highest rank in the military, what's his favorite flower, his favorite hymn, they go in and fill this guide out for themselves. And what we tell our clients is, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, when I bring your contracts back to you, I need you to have this guide filled out. Because I was always taught in my business that try to leave your client a task when you do business with them to keep them engaged. And so I'll tell them, if you'll fill this guide out, when I bring your contract back to you, if you'll put it with your guide, if I had never met you before, I could pick that guide up and your contract, I could go down to the funeral home at your passing, I could hand it to the funeral director, sit back, and he can take care of everything because you've specified everything you want to happen. And the guide it's beautiful. They're free from National Guardian Life. So I would highly encourage you to use that in your sales process. It's a powerful tool.
Excellent. Okay, folks. Well, John, looks like our question box is empty. So I'm going to thank you for taking time. I know you're busy, especially getting the year off to a great start, which we appreciate your business, John. And for those of you that may have joined us a little bit late, this was recorded, so we're going to email this over to you. And again, either myself or someone on my staff will give you a call to answer any questions that you may have. We'll get contracting over to you as well, so you can go ahead and get set up. It's very simple. And then we'll go ahead and do everything we can to start implementing this into your sales practice. And we certainly do look forward to speaking with you here over the next several days. So, John, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day here to help us.
Mark, thanks for having me. I'm closing this down. We're getting ready for a winter storm here. So I appreciate everybody that was on the call, and look forward to seeing your name up on that leaderboard at some point in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you much. You all have a great weekend. We'll be in touch.